deepest.
Welcome to Split the Defense, Leafs post-game presented by Laforest Electrical Contractors, serving the Kingston and surrounding areas since 2004. I'm Webby with CP and producer Ted in the booth. Thumbs up this episode, subscribe to our YouTube, leave us a comment, and catch us in podcast form anywhere you listen to podcasts. Game 22, 5-1. For the Cats, not for the Leafs, not for us, not good. But losing 1 out of every 5 games, certainly can't be upset with that. You know, how are you upset with the team after a loss like this? It did feel like this one felt like more, though, didn't it, CP?
Oh, it definitely felt like more. I think every Leafs fan kind of had this one marked as the, big game to measure your Leafs against, but it's also tough. Like when your team has so many guys out of the lineup, like you're hoping for the best, especially they've been playing so well, but you really saw the difference. I thought like there's some difference makers on that other team, and I felt like there was fewer in the Leafs lineup tonight. So yeah, a little bit of a tough one, and not the greatest showing from Stolarz as well. I mean, a few tough ones for him for sure, but yeah, not amazing, but also just like hard to really judge based on 7 guys out. I don't want to make an excuse of that, but it's at the same time it is what it is,
But they've won like 7 of their last 8 with 4, 5, 6, 7 guys out, and now Bobby McMahon, which we'll get to later. But Stolarz, you mentioned. Stolarz let in 5 goals tonight. Is that Stolarz' worst game as a Leaf?
100%. Yeah, it's by far, I think, his worst game as a Leaf. I mean, especially statistically, but just by the eye test. Not the same confident big body out there. Like, I don't know, did he shrink? I felt like he felt small in the net even. Like, I don't know. Yeah, not a great showing from him, but the same time, like you've seen so much from him. Like every goalie has bad nights. Like, we always say it, like Vasi and Shesterkin and Ottinger, they all have bad nights. So can't put it all on him. Like was it the first one or the second one? It's like total botch job by Robertson and Minton and OEL in front of the net. And then OEL is like perfectly screening him when I think Reinhardt gets a shot off or someone gets a shot off. And it's just that one, I can't put him on him at all, and then, you get 2 back-to-back so quickly, confidence gone. Yeah, really tough. Can't hear you there, Webby. Muted. Oh. Nope. Can't hear you.
I'll pop in on this. I don't know what's going on with that,
yeah,
Webby.
We'll figure that out. But
yeah.
Yeah, I guess like I'll get into that a little bit. Like I guess for me, Robertson was it was right off the hop. He had the bad play and the goal go in. And he just gave up on the play. And just after last episode, I was just talking about how like he was making impacts in other places, even though he falls down every 2 seconds, but at least he's making an impact, and just really couldn't feel that tonight. He dropped the ball early. You just can't give up on a play if you're one of those guys that's not being in the lineup, or that's on the fringe of being in the lineup. So, yeah, I felt like that was kind of tough tonight. So, yeah, not sure where Webby is. Oh, Webby is
I'm back.
Here he is. So
I'm back.
I just basically was talking about how like Robertson dropped the ball early, and this was like a game where he was bad. Really probably the one guy who stood out more than Stolarz as having like a really rough game.
Robertson. That's a whole different topic. This what I was gonna say. This whole thing started with the Gurbankin penalty. I love Gurbankin, but he's a rook, and you can't do shit as a rook. And I kind of thought it was a soft penalty. It's a penalty, but a lot of guys might get away with that. And he takes the penalty. Florida scores first on the power play, It's the most underrated player in the NHL for the 8th year in a row. Alex Barkov is the one to start it off. And then it's 2-0 30 seconds later by some guy named Samskakevich or something like that. That's how you know you're having a tough night. Like, who's that? Samskakevich? Yeah, put you down 2-0. It's going to be one of those nights. They settled in later in the first, but they couldn't get it together. They lost it within in a 2-minute stretch, like maybe in a minute and a half stretch in the first period there. They completely lost the whole game.
You can't put that on Gurbenkin, though, because the refs were calling 2 penalties instantly, no matter what. Like, Matthew Tkachuk got one right before Gurbenkin did. You know, Florida kills it perfectly. 1 minute later or something, you know, they're going to call the first thing possible. So it just happens to be Gurbenkin, which I'm not sure that's a penalty called in the second or third period. And then, yeah, you know, they get a power play goal. And then the one that I was referring to where just, you know, a bunch of guys give up. And it's a bunch of young guys who give up on the puck in the play and OEL, I guess, too. But yeah, not a great start. And just, yeah, they didn't look flat-footed, I didn't think, but just obviously execution was off, and yeah, you just let 2 by your goalie.
Well, like you said at the beginning of the show, they're missing 6 guys. They're missing 7 guys, like 8 guys out now. Like, it's showing. It's really starting to show. Like, they played well, and we were living this fantasy fairy tale that we're going to win these games, but like, to be able to put these wins together with the lineups that we've had is honestly a miracle. Like, you can't expect that going forward. We had to lose at some point. This is a real team. It's a real good team. And they've lost a bunch lately. They wanted to win tonight. They're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, the most covered team in the league. They wanted this game more, and they went out and they took it. It's as simple as that, right? Like, you don't. They basically played the Marlies. Like, I mean, who do you call up at this point that you feel comfortable in with the Marlies? Like, we're pulling like Nick Abruzzese now up. Like, I feel like that guy's come and gone. Like, he may as well be Logan Shaw, who doesn't even have an NHL contract at this point. Like, I don't know who else you got left. It's really hard to pin on this team when they've had the guys they've had and they've won like 7 of their last 8. Yeah, you lost to the Florida Panthers, but like, how do you really get upset about that?
No, that's the thing. You can't be upset about it. It's just also you can't use it as a measuring stick, like I was saying. You know, it's just you wanted them to come and bring their best effort, but at the same time, it's just like it's a loss with a bunch of guys out. So yeah, I totally agree with you there.
But even in a win, what kind of backwards ass measuring stick would it have been for us to be like, oh yeah, well, we can beat Florida. We're the best team even without Matthews and this guy. But that's not how this works. Like, I think they had a little bit of adrenaline. They broke their leg, you know, and they had the adrenaline rush and they went through and they've won a few games now. And I don't think this is sustainable. I don't think this team is a sustainable group to win these games like they have been. And I think it's going to start to show just like it did tonight, even against lesser teams, not just against the Florida Panthers, but I think even against lesser teams, this is going to show because you can't just go. It's like they're missing 6 guys. Like, how do you miss half of your forward group? And you're just like, you can just keep moving. Like, anybody in the league who's missing half their forward group is going to be fucked. Like, and that's just how it is. It's as simple as that. I mean, you can't live and die with this one. Nick Robertson, on the other hand, getting his shot in the top 6 tonight. You really don't think he impressed, did he?
No, I thought he was pretty awful, to be honest. I don't know if it's just that every mistake he makes is just going to stick out like a sore thumb, but yeah, he just can't stay on his feet for one thing. And it's just a bit of a mess out there, you know. I just and like it just right away when I saw that he gave up on a play and it directly led to a goal. It's like you just can't do that and feel like you're going to be a guy that's trusted and be in this lineup when people come back and be healthy. So yeah, I mean, I was saying last show like he needed to be doing all the good forechecking stuff, and I didn't even see much of that. So. Yeah, not a good game for him. And like you're saying, when Pontus Holberg is your second line center, like, I don't know what can you expect, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Justin
we were
Bourne was
riding a
calling
high.
him,
we were riding a fantasy here for a few games.
Yeah,
Like,
Justin
come
Bourne
on.
was calling Holmberg like one of the bottom 5 offensive players in the
Offensive
league.
players.
I thought that was a little harsh, but yeah, if that guy's your second line center, that's just tough, you know. And Alex Nylander, like, you know, it's cool to
Hey, I don't
have the
hate Alex
Nylanders.
Nylander, but
No,
talk about Nick Robertson here for a second, and it's been the topic of conversation. I really wanted to ask you about this, and it's probably been talked about on every single show, but how fucking peeved do you think Nick Robertson was that Alex Nylander walks on the team, didn't even have an NHL contract before like last week, signs an NHL deal to play with the team, PP1.
yeah. Second line, like 5 minutes into his first game, and PP1. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, but I think he should request his trade again because, I mean, you got to see where he is in the lineup and the depth charts, and it's not very high. So yeah, he just when you have this opportunity, you have to capitalize, and he's really not, and it's even more glaring when he has all of the opportunity in the world and still nothing. So, yeah, just I think the test period is over. I think if Brad Treliving could get anything for him, I'm sure he would. I just doubt that there's anything to get. So, I mean, he could stick around. I'm not saying that you have to get rid of him because he is worth nothing, probably. So, it's just don't expect to be in the lineup when people are back. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I have a note that says third period starts. Boy, the Leafs could really use a guy like Matthews right about now. It really felt over as soon as the third started, did it not?
I mean, it was like sometime in the middle of the second where I just felt like, you
end
could
this game.
Yeah,
I just want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to talk about it. It's just end this game and get our guys back. When I like watching teams and thinking about like the prospect of what this looks like for the playoffs and like, for some other teams like the Raptors and Jays, it's about making the playoffs, but it's also just like, what can you do to get there? What can you do once you're there? And when you're watching half of Marley's team, like, we don't care about prospects here. Like, these guys, like, they're cool that they can fill in for these games, but it's less exciting for me to watch teams when like it's not like your actual lineup, right? And so I was really hoping to get Matthews back tonight. Like, that would have been a big thing for him. But also, like, when your guy is suffering from a back injury, like, he would have gotten at least 2 or 3 cross checks to the back tonight. So maybe it is kind of a good one for him to sit out for, and then you take on Tampa.
Right. Yeah. No, that's totally 100% fair. That's 100% fair. So the devil in me wants to know, of all these kids that have come up and play, when it's time for Max Domi to come back, who do you think is worse than Max Domi of this Fraser Minton, Grabenkin? Would you not rather see one of those guys that are getting a shot right now and winning over Domi, or do you think it's just fair that he walks back in? And do you think he's going to fulfill the contract? I mean, I may be jumping a bit ahead here, but like, all the talent and the way that they're winning, and like, do you want him back in this lineup right away?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's one of those guys that I missed tonight where, he can make a play and make an impact. And Alex Steves is the guy that I think you just boot off. Gerbenkin's like a perfect fourth line guy. So I think that, yeah, like Alex Steves, even though like I would probably rather scratch Robertson more right now, that probably is more realistically the guy that goes first. And yeah, okay. I definitely put Domi in the lineup. No question. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once you've got the guys coming back, though, like, I mean, you do have a few guys on the IR, and once your lineup is back and complete, I just wonder, like, does Domi push himself down? Has he pushed himself down the lineup with his play, or is he almost useless down there, as we've talked? I think this is maybe a worn out conversation between us, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm seeing this team without him, and I'm like, that seems like $3 million better spent elsewhere. Like, we need somebody who can actually play center.
Yeah, I think the problem is he's just miscast. Like, I think, well, currently we don't really have a problem because Matthew Nyes is not in the lineup, and Bobby McMahon, I'm not sure when we're going to get him back. So there's definitely a top 6 spot for Max Domi. And if Matthews comes back, I could just guarantee that he gets slotted with at least Max Domi, probably Willie as well. But I think that's kind of half the problem is Max Domi is being asked to play center, and he's just not as good at playing center. It's too much responsibility for him. He's good there in flashes because he is good in the middle of the ice with the puck. But when you have to calculate all the other things that you have to do with that position, it just doesn't equate. So I think there's not a Leafs fan in the world, I don't think, that doesn't know what this team needs, and it's a third-line centerman, and that just is what Domi is playing. And you put Domi on the wing, and I think it's a totally different conversation. And all the things Domi brings, other than the points, I think is important. Like, we're talking about a team that has guts that can like throw down at any time. Domi maybe doesn't pick the best spots sometimes, but he is a guy that you want that can play in the top 6, but also has the guts to go with it. So,
yeah. Brad Treliving's got the hardest and the easiest job right now in the whole entire world because he knows exactly what he needs, but it's getting what
everyone else knows what he needs too, though.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So Nylander cross-checked Nate Schmidt to the face.
Ooh, yeah. That was tough.
Fine or suspension?
I mean, if that's anyone else, I feel like that's suspension. That's a tough one. I know that he's like kind of defending himself, but we've seen this before. It doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna say fine because it's William Nylander, and no one in the world can justify him doing that on purpose, I think. But I don't know.
How do you accidentally cross him? I mean, I did kind of look like it was unattended, but like at the same time, like. Yeah,
it rode up a bit.
It didn't look like super aggressive, but like it didn't look accidental. Like,
well, I mean,
it looked instinctual, but not accidental.
Is it Matthews or is it Riley? Am I just thinking about the Riley cross check on is it Pinto or whoever it was, or
Greg? No, that was not.
Or Greg, or was it the Matthews cross check on Dahlin? That's the one. In the winter game, and that was
very intentional.
Well, no, it was an intentional cross check, but it like landed kind of on his upper body and rode up into his head, but it's still a cross check to the head in the end. And did he get a fine?
To cross check him, just not to the head. Is that what you're saying about William Nylander?
Well, I think even the broadcast said the defenseman's the one that is going to initiate the cross check, and Willie kind of, I think, gets startled a bit and throws his hands up.
Instinctually.
Yeah. But yet it's still a cross check to the head.
But you still can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I guess that does make sense. So when you look at it like that, it does make sense that it's not a suspendable action because like he didn't do it with aggression. Like he didn't do it to hurt the guy. But like you still can't do that. I wouldn't be surprised to see a fine coming.
Oh no, I would almost guarantee it. A fine, I would almost guarantee. Yeah, at least. Yeah. But I don't know if that's anyone else though with a little bit of aggression in their past. That's probably a one gamer. Yeah, tough. And he actually who was it that he cross checked? Because that guy went off immediately.
Schmidt.
Yeah, I wonder what his face looks like in the morning because probably not great.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat a stick to the face, I guarantee.
No.
It did not feel good. Man, don't you just love when the Leafs play in Sunrise? The camera angle in Sunrise makes me feel like I'm watching in a junior barn.
Yeah.
I love it. There's so much. It's like, it feels like home. It feels like Little League. It feels like Christmas. Like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it just feels so small and magical. And it's just that low angle of the ice. I love that, and I wish more broadcasts were lower like that. The guys on the ice felt like when you played like NHL Hits 2003 and like everybody had a big head and you're just smashing people into the boards. That's what they all look like. They're so big on the ice. Like it was a great view of the game. And like we play we play in Florida once or twice a year, but like every single time we play down there, I think that I'm like, damn, I love this so much. It's so much better than the far back view that you get in every other barn in the NHL.
Yeah, totally agree. I love the different. There's a few other stadiums that have the different angles. I think Winnipeg is one of them, where you just like, yeah, it's a much lower angle. It's way better, I think. And also just the other thing that makes it feel like a junior game is half the seats are empty. Like it's unbelievable that that's your Stanley Cup champion and half the barn is empty. It's like tough look. I mean, I feel bad for those players. It's nice that they get to go to the grocery store and no one gets to see them, but it must feel a little bit sad that like this is a pretty big game and there's empty seats. That's tough.
Yeah, well, it is South Florida.
Yeah.
So there's that. So William Nylander, he had himself a game. His first shot on goal was in the third.
Yep.
What did you think of his overall performance tonight?
Not amazing. I didn't think him or Marner are normally the guys that like make and create a lot, and I definitely didn't feel it from either of them really, even though Marner scored. But yeah, Willie, it's not good when Alex Nylander has two shots like halfway through the third and Willie is just getting his first. Like, not awesome. And especially when Willie's just been able to be so successful, like wherever he's put, and where like in the last 7 games, he's done so well, like just being whoever is on his line. And normally it's multiple line mates a night. But yeah, it wasn't, I felt like he really was trying to bring it though. It just really wasn't working for him.
It really was not working for him, if that was the case. I do get it. Yeah, I saw it. He was rushing. He did have it. But Willie has that, like, he's so good. He could do whatever he wants, but, like, he chooses when to do whatever he wants. He chooses when to take control and say, this is mine now, and you guys don't even exist. And when he chooses to do that, it's fantastic. But it feels like he knows that you can only do it for so long, and he's very smart, right? And like, so he doesn't push himself, I guess, as much as I'd like to see, because he's a human and not a machine. So me as the spectator, I'm like, push harder. You have it. You're amazing. You can do it. And he probably can't, but at the end of the day, you do want to see more from William Nylander in those opportunities, because he does turn it on when the offensive opportunities happen. It's just, can he create those offensive opportunities himself? And he doesn't enough. And that's what I noticed tonight. Like, he did take a few rushes up the ice, absolutely, and he chipped along the boards and would forecheck in and would try and create a play or take a shot on net. But like, how often was he the one starting that and then going to the other end, like a person like Austin Matthews, who they're really missing, does for this team? And like, that's one thing that they're really missing, is somebody taking the play on the other end and turning it over and going to the other end. But I would like to transition that with Mitch Marner. Keeps on keeping on. Mitch Marner scores another goal tonight. That was such a Mitch Marner goal. What are they going to do with this guy? Is he going to play for Chicago next year, or like?
I mean, I hope not. I mean, I really hope that he plays for the Leafs for $5 million. That would be just really ideal, you know? Reality tells me that it's going to be a crazy ass contract. The thing with Marner though, he scored, but it wasn't his best game. And I kept my eye on him all night, because these are the games that I really measure Marner at, because these are when the games get tough, more of a playoff style game. And what can you do? And he ends up scoring, which definitely like wipes out the, how impactful were you? Like, you were able to provide a goal, but, he does it's tougher when he can't hold on to the puck longer and create, because that's just what he's best at. And, physical and fast games really, that gets taken away from you. So good to see, though, that he's still kind of keeping on and wasn't totally held off the score sheet. And that's what you need from him. If you're having a game where you can't, do a lot, like, just do what you can. And if that ends up being a goal or setting up one, that's what you need. But yeah, I don't know what his plus minus was tonight. Not that it really matters, but yeah, that's what you need though. Points from his line for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And still just solidifies that you can't put him back with Matthews. Is like,
No.
like if
No,
he doesn't
you
shoot,
can't.
he
At
doesn't
this
shoot
point,
on that
like,
play if he is with someone like Matthews. He would just be constantly just keep looking for him. So
like if you want to talk about like the simulation and like plants and like people who are taking orders and whatever and like Berube is not one of those people. He is a free thinker. We can trust that he can see what we can see, and that this has to be Mitch Marner with John Tavares and William Nylander on his own line and Austin Matthews with everybody who's hurt right now. Simple as that. We've got a top 6 that's hurt right now. Like 4 of I'm sure like with what we got 3 top 6 players right now hurt. Like maybe 4.
4.
Like
Well, if you count Bobby, Nyes, Matthews, Domi.
Yarncroke, like he was playing in the top 6 at one point, and like I
don't count him on this team.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch, yeah. But I'm just saying, like there's so many options, and it's like you have to play Matthews with other people at this point, and it's like they lost tonight, but like Matthews comes back on Saturday, you have to try it against Tampa. You have to try it to see what happens. Put him on a line with and company. And you run the other lines like you did and see if you can get 3 lines going. So it feels like pure domination. Like that's what they're going for, right? And you have to try it. At least give it a games run at this point. Like, I mean, he's been out for 8 games. This is like the longest stretch Matthews has been out since his shoulder surgery or wrist surgery or whenever it was, like 4 years ago or something like that. 3 years ago. It's been maybe longer than that. But it's been a long time, and they're proving that they can still make these lines and still win games without them. So, like, yeah, absolutely. Like, they're right now, the Leafs' biggest issue seems to be like if they had the team they had tonight and a really solid third line, like they had Winnipeg's third line, they probably would have won the game tonight.
Yeah, you mean with the top 6 that we have?
Yeah, with the top 6 we have now and Winnipeg's third line. Like there's a chance that it would have at least been closer, right?
A lot of teams
imagine adding a top line to that instead, right? Like so you have to be able to just take the Austin Matthews and separate it from the group that you already have cooking and let him go with whoever and company and run his own unit and hopefully, and I mean, like, find the ice time. I get it. Like, everybody needs their ice time. They need their cookies, but like, spread it out between the 3 and play the 4th 6 fucking minutes. Sheldon Keefe did it.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no David Kampf right now. Like,
if Dewar's our 4th line center, like 6 to 8 minutes sounds great for them. Like, I think
no, that's too much.
Yeah. My ideal situation, 4 to 6 minutes. Yeah. My ideal situation, I think, would be with Matthews and Willie on different lines as well, and I know that
I
like
agree.
You said, that's like a lot of minutes to dish around, but I just think Willie doesn't need anyone. When he decides to make a play, it's all on him, and I'm not sure it really matters who's on the ice with him. Matthews, I think, needs to learn how to do that a bit more. He's always had someone to help him generate the offense in Marner or Willie. I mean, has he ever played without either of them? And I think
didn't he?
I don't
feel like he did.
Maybe early in his career, but at least in the long while, it's just like who's gonna play with Matthews? The other one's gonna play with Tavares, and he's never gotten the Sidney Crosby experiment with just like here's 2 dudes that can hustle and know how to hold their stick, make them good.
Donk.
Yeah, like make them good and figure it out. And I know he's not a playmaker like Crosby or McDavid or anything, but he's a great player and he's got good hands. I think he put that on his shoulders a little bit. And Willie, you just be like, dude, go tear up some 3rd and 4th lines, just be on the 3rd line and maybe that's why you're seeing him with Holmberg a lot, is because that's what they see as the 3rd line.
What they want to do. They want to roll. They want to rip 3, right? Just 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, so they're just rolling those 3, right? Yeah. Exactly. And now we're dancing. Now we're cooking with peanut oil. Right. All right. Yes. Craig Brubay's got to see it. He's got to see it just like we see it. And I do fully believe that that's what's going to happen. But now we have to figure out who's on the bench right now that could play or should play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because Bobby McMahon is out. He may not come and play the next game. Took a beating tonight.
The one thing, like, if you're getting Matthews back next game, So like if he
so
comes
that's
in,
just like automatically fills the hole perfectly.
yeah.
So I'd like to ask, I thought about this. I should have said this earlier. Do you remember earlier in the year we talked about we have all these forwards and who's going to play where? And you said to me, oh, don't worry, guys get injured. Did you curse this team? Because like now every guy has got injured. We had like 16 forwards that were like too many to start the season, and now we're down to like 6 NHLers and half Marlies. It's amazing how far the injuries have gone and like where we went from preseason to now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I jinxed them because it's hockey and it's a rough sport, and that's just exactly how it always happens. I think I just, we do this a lot every year. We've done it for 2 years, but I've been having these conversations for a long time, and every year it's the same thing of who's gonna go here? You always fall in love with the guys at the beginning of the year, and it's like, oh, don't you worry, they'll be up.
Oh, don't be like that. Yeah, oh yeah, it's just me. Hey, yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm saying that. No, I've been having these conversations forever because this is what I do. It. Everyone else does it. You
always fall in love with the guys at the beginning of the year. You just specifically called me out.
No, I'm talking about myself more as well. It's just it's you, and that's the good thing about when you sign all these guys that you think that you'll never see, but you probably will at some point, and you just hope that guys get back and you can see them more.
It's amazing. Like we have like a half an NHL team on the IR right now.
Yeah, literally.
Like legit. Like if you put that team together,
more than half a forward.
Yeah, I could see that's a great supporting cast, and Matthews.
That
seems like a decent team. Yeah, and we got other guys playing right now. It's nice to see.
I think the saving grace for this team is that the defensemen have been able to stay healthy, and it's a big part of this team.
That's a good point.
Keeping the goals against down, and so I think as long as even Benoit and Timmins even have been playing pretty good. It's been just quite the nice difference from last year. The biggest difference, of course, is just defense is locked down and amazing. Even Tanev and McCabe, sometimes like they're starting to develop a chemistry that takes a while to get to, and with no look passes, one guy just puts it into a space and knows that the other guy will be there. They're looking really, really nice. OEL, I think, and Riley, you're always going to have these. Some nights are going to look better than others, but the top pair just absolutely dynamite.
Yeah, I don't hate the defense at all. Love the defense. Split the defense at that. Do you have anything else on this game here, CP, or should we wrap this one up and get it?
Let's wrap it up. Yep.
All right. So I'd like to mention that we're back on Saturday for the Maple Leafs versus the Lightning, and it's been a slow couple of weeks. But then after that, we are back for 9 games in 16 days or something stupid like that. So we'll see you next game and every other day after that. For now, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us for Split the Defense, Leafs post-game presented by Laforest Electrical Contractors, serving the Kingston and surrounding area since 2004. Leave us a comment, hit that like button, subscribe on our YouTube, and listen to us in podcast form anywhere you listen to podcasts, anytime. Till next time, peace.
Follow the boys on Twitter at STDPWebby, at Craig D. Pearce, and at Ted_is_show.